Hey guys, my name is Ehsan and welcome back to my channel. In this episode, we're going to take down 2 mini bosses and 1 main boss. Unfortunately, from this point on, the game gets several levels harder. But for From Software fans, that kind of difficulty is part of the fun. Let me know your positive thoughts about this in the comments. Positive thoughts only. If you remember, we've been here before to defeat 7 Ashina Spears Shikibu Toshikatsu Yamauchi. And honestly, he was a pretty tough mini-boss. But this time, we're going to fight a lone shadow longswordsman, who is blocking our path. He works like a mini-boss, but this fight is not really hard. In fact, it's actually pretty fun. The only thing that might bother you is the small arena. As usual, we can land the first death blow with a badass jump from above. But for the second death blow, we'll have to fight him properly. The moveset and attacks of this enemy type, whether they appear as mini-bosses or regular enemies, are almost the same. There are only a few small differences, and you'll see them for yourself later in the game. Alright, now it's time to fight the first Shichimen warrior in the game. There are 3 of them in Sekiro, but this one is probably the most important. That's because the reward for defeating him is one of the most useful items in the entire game. Now, before we talk about the fight itself, there's something very important you need to know. Shichimen warriors are apparition type enemies, and to fight apparition type enemies properly, you need divine confetti. Without divine confetti, you will barely deal any damage to them. Unfortunately, there is no stealth death blow for this mini-boss. So for both phases, we have to fight him face to face. And since we don't have many divine confetti right now, we should try to beat him on the first attempt. During the entire fight, the divine confetti buff should stay active on your weapon. In Sekiro, divine confetti works like a weapon buff. On top of that, apparition-type enemies also apply a special status abnormality. The game calls it Terror, but don't let that name fool you. Terror is pretty much Sekiro's version of Deathblight in Elden Ring, or Curse in Dark Souls 3. And that means one thing: if the Terror build-up fills up, you die instantly. So, when fighting apparition-type enemies, we need Pacifying Agent too. Pacifying Agent increases your resistance to Terror build-up. And if things get dangerous, you can also use it to reduce the terror buildup before it kills you. During this fight, try to keep the Pacifying Agent effect active on your character at all times. Since we can only carry 5 Divine Confetti and 5 Pacifying Agents at a time, we really don't want this fight to drag on for too long. But here's the good news: the anti-air death blow skill. Shichimen Warrior is one of the few enemies in the game who spends a lot of time floating in the air. So there is a pretty good chance you can land an anti-air death blow on him. Of course, you need to be close enough when he is in the air. Sadly, I didn't get that chance in this fight, but hopefully you will. You can also leave this mini-boss for later, especially once Divine Confetti becomes available for unlimited purchase from merchants. But the reward for defeating this Shichimen warrior is really good, so I recommend giving it at least one try right here, especially because we're going to need that reward for the main boss fight later in this episode. And this is the reward for defeating this mini-boss, Ceremonial Tanto, an item that gives you access to supplemental spirit emblems. Every time you use it, it takes away half of your vitality and gives you 5 spirit emblems. After each rest at a sculptor's idol, you can use it up to 3 times. So that means 15 extra spirit emblems in total. But these supplemental spirit emblems disappear when you rest at a sculptor's idol. So don't even think about saving them for later. The way Ceremonial Tanto works is very similar to the Blood Bullet mechanic in Bloodborne. But unlike Bloodborne, it is not infinite. And that's exactly why this item can easily become a permanent part of your quick items. Now, pay attention to the animation when Sekiro uses Ceremonial Tanto. It looks insanely badass. Just watching that animation can give you an adrenaline boost in the middle of a fight. Seriously, who else but From Software can make a small detail like this feel so damn cool? Everything in Sekiro was designed to give the player an adrenaline rush. There is a reason why every time people see the From Software logo in a new game announcement, they start screaming. Yeah, most monkeys in this area die in one hit. But don't underestimate this monkey squad. Don't jump into the middle of them like, come on, what could go wrong? A lot can go wrong. Just stay here, use your shuriken, and take them out safely. And since you got the ceremonial Tanto, you should have enough spirit emblems to throw shuriken and wipe them all out.
蛇ガキはの2つあるぞい。1つは生ガキ、1つは干しガキ。干しガキ、毒の干しガキ。はい、しかるお困りお米。おち。
And now, it's time for the next main boss fight, Guardian Ape. I can honestly say this. With this boss, From Software created one of the greatest boss fights in video game history. And in my personal opinion, as someone who worked as a game developer and CG artist for 15 years, this is the best designed boss fight in the entire history of video games. The amount of moves designed for this main boss is so huge that I can't even explain all of them before the fight. The boss AI mixes these moves together in a way that every time you fight him, you might see a new attack or a new combination. So right here, I have to show the highest level of respect to From Software, Miyazaki, and Masaru Yamamura, but for Sekiro himself, which means us, I think this is the perfect gesture for the Guardian Ape fight. Even though it's almost impossible to explain the Guardian Ape fight with words alone, I'm just going to point out a few important things. No matter what happens, do not let your distance from the Guardian Ape become too close or too far. If you fight him too close, he can easily grab you and smash the shit out of you. And if you stay too far away, not only does he have a long-range grab attack, but he also puts his hand inside his own ass and throws poop at you. And if it hits you, you get poisoned. I am not joking. Sometimes you might be standing behind him, thinking he has calmed down. But no, he's actually preparing his legendary toxic fart right in your face. And yes, that can poison you too. Since Sekiro doesn't have stamina, the best strategy for this fight is to keep running, keep moving, and maintain the right distance. Watch his moveset, understand what he is about to do, and be ready for it. If this is your first time fighting Guardian Ape, watch my fight with him once, so you can understand what I mean by keeping the right distance. Your biggest enemy in this fight is greed. Do not get greedy with your attacks. One hit, maybe two at most, and then immediately back away. You are fighting a giant wild beast. And as usual, because this boss does not use a weapon, deflecting is mostly just for avoiding damage. You have to beat him by draining his vitality bar. This fight is one of the best times to use Mortal Draw. Whenever you find a safe opening, use Mortal Draw once, then immediately return to a safe distance and wait for the next opening. Each use of Mortal Draw costs 3 Spirit Emblems. But don't worry, even if you run out of Spirit Emblems, you can still use Mortal Draw. Its damage and range will be reduced, but the damage is still pretty good. So Mortal Draw is one way to deal damage to Guardian Ape. The second method is using Oil and Flame Vent. Throw oil at him, then use Flame Vent at the right moment. This deals a lot of damage to his vitality, and at the same time, it can stagger him, giving you a chance to land a few extra hits with your sword. At the very start of this fight, I used Yashariku's Sugar and Divine Confetti. Divine Confetti is optional here, but Yashariku's Sugar cuts your vitality in half, and in return, it greatly increases your damage and posture damage. One way to fight Guardian Ape is to use Yashariku's Sugar right at the start, run straight toward him, use Firecracker immediately to stagger him, hit him in the head 3 times or 4 times at most, and then use Mortal Draw twice right away. If he gets staggered in front of you after the second Mortal Draw, use Mortal Draw 2 more times. There is a good chance you can take him down right at the start with this method, without really fighting him properly. Unfortunately, I forgot to equip Mortal Draw in the Combat Art slot, so I lost my chance to use this method in this fight. And with the amount of attack power we have right now, I'm not exactly sure if we can defeat him this early with this strategy or not. But if your attack power is high, especially in New Game Plus, you don't even need to properly fight Guardian Ape. Right at the start, with the help of Yashariku's Sugar and Divine Confetti, you can break his posture very quickly. If this is your first time fighting Guardian Ape, don't expect to beat him easily. You saw Shinobi Execution on the screen, but this is where From Software officially trolls you. Anyone who played Sekiro for the first time probably got scared shitless here. And I didn't want to take that lovely feeling away from you. Yep, you guessed it. Guardian Ape is not dead yet. We have to fight him one more time. In this phase, our job is actually easier. He holds the sword we pulled out of his neck in one hand, and in the other hand, he holds the head we cut off. And now, he fights you with that sword. So, no more stupid grab attacks. But you still need to watch out for one unique perilous attack in this phase. Whenever you see this animation, back away immediately, because he is about to bring his head close to his neck and scream. If you are inside the range of that scream, your terror buildup will fill up and you will die instantly. He also has two perilous sweep attacks in this phase. You can avoid both of them with a simple jump. But to deal serious damage, you need to deflect his sword attacks and wait for this exact moment, when his body rises fully upright, and then he brings his weapon down on your head. Deflecting this attack is extremely important. If you deflect it successfully, he will fall to the ground. And this is where you need to use Loaded Spear. The Loaded Spear goes into his body and pulls the centipede out. This deals massive damage to both his vitality and posture. This is very important. You can only use Loaded Spear to pull out the centipede after you deflect this specific attack, and Guardian Ape falls to the ground in front of you. Otherwise, Loaded Spear will only deal normal damage. If you used up your spirit emblems in phase 1, use Ceremonial Tanto. This is exactly why we fought Shichimen Warrior before fighting Guardian Ape. But if you couldn't get Ceremonial Tanto, don't worry. This fight still isn't too hard. Instead of Loaded Spear, you can use Mortal Draw. The fight will just take a little longer. The best way to fight Guardian Ape in phase 2 is to stay patient, wait for his attacks, and when you successfully deflect this one specific attack, you can do whatever you want to him.
前さんそいつをその指をどこで手に入れた？
落ち谷の獅子猿が食らっていた。
そうか。猿の腹の中とはな。そいつを貸しな。お前さんの忍び義手に仕込んでやろう。
After defeating Guardian Ape, you get access to the final shinobi prosthetic, Slender Finger. Once you get Slender Finger, you now have every shinobi prosthetic tool in the game. From this point on, you should start thinking about upgrading them into their stronger versions. If you're not familiar with the upgrade system, don't waste your upgrade materials randomly. Just follow the same upgrade order I use in this walkthrough. Some upgraded versions of the prosthetic tools are extremely important for making the rest of the game easier. And that brings us to the end of part 14 of this Sekiro walkthrough. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next episode.